These are every Spongebob episode that was set in the future, starting with a classic called SB-129. This episode starts with Squidward looking to practice his clarinet. At that exact moment, SpongeBob's alarm goes up, knocking his clarinet into his throat. Then SpongeBob asks Squidward if he wants to go jellyfishing. Squidward tries to say no, but SpongeBob mistakes it for a yes. After arriving at Squidward's door, they are greeted with his ungrateful attitude, and then he closes the door on them. Patrick thinks he don't want to go with, but SpongeBob wants to try again. After ringing the door again, and even one more time, before appearing inside Squidward's house, he tells them that he doesn't want to go with. Then Squidward closes the door and leaves his own house before realizing it's his house and goes back and shoves out SpongeBob and Patrick from his house. Then Squidward gets the brilliant idea to lie to them. He tells them that he will come out very soon, but instead he sneaks out the back way to go to the closed Krusty Krab to play alone. Finally finding himself all alone, he relaxes. But shortly after he hears SpongeBob and Patrick and goes to hide. Squidward chooses to hide in the freezer, which will actually be his worst decision ever. He can see SpongeBob and Patrick walking by him. His plan worked. When Squidward tries to open the door, the handle doesn't work. He has accidentally locked himself inside the freezer in the Krusty Krab. But it's okay, he assures himself that somebody will open the door very soon. Then 2000 years go by, and he stayed in there for so long that the lock rusts off, and Squidward is finally let out. Then SpongeBob comes with his hammer, ready to break Squidward free. But instead of punching him, he lasers the ice. This is a laser hammer from the future. Squidward is finally let free and he asks SpongeBob what's happening. But SpongeBob tells him that he isn't SpongeBob, he's Spongetron. And he tells Squidward that he is now in the future, that's why everything around him is growing. And Squidward's clearly freaked out over this. It's actually kinda weird seeing the Krusty Krab all futuristic and chromic. When Squidward goes to look out of the window, he can see that the whole Bikini Bottom is now futuristic and made of chrome. We can also see that anything that isn't chrome will soon be sprayed on with some chrome spray to make it chrome. When Squidward turns around, he can now see that there is like 5 SpongeBobs behind him, and Squidward clearly wonders how there are so many. And SpongeBob tells him, this is the future, Squidward. And now Squidward has had enough. He lays himself on the ground and starts to wiggle and having a seizure or something. Then Squidward decides to ask if they have a time machine, and SpongeBob says, "Oh yeah, it's right down the hall." Squidward now rushing there, actually being happy the first time for this episode. Or not, I think Squidward took the wrong door. But after taking the right door in, he arrives at the time machine. And this thing is strange to say the least. There's all these flickering lights and noises, and Squidward doesn't have a clue what's going on. So Squidward decides to pull the lever that sets future, and all these things start to shake and wobble. And the time machine explodes, sending Squidward millions of years back in time, until he lands in Bikini Bottom in the Stone Age. And I actually think it's very cool that Bikini Bottom exists in Stone Age. So Squidward decides to leave the time machine to take a look at the climate. And that's when he finds Spongegar and Pathgar, which are just Stone Age versions of Spongebob and Patrick. Isn't it weird how every single timeline has a Spongebob and Patrick? After getting really annoyed with them, Squidward teaches Spongebob and Patrick about jellyfishing. Wait, did Squidward invent jellyfishing? Then after thinking he's okay, he goes to play his clarinet. But it doesn't work, and Spongegar and Pathgar continues to chase Squidward instead of the jellyfishes, which makes Squidward needing to run back to the time machine to hide from them. When inside the time machine, he accidentally breaks the lever, which makes the time machine glitch and shake violently, and all these weird numbers and things shows up on screen, until Squidward's teleported to nothingness. Squidward wanders around, wondering where he is, and he understands that this place is weird since this square floats and disappears. At first he seems happy because he is finally alone. He can finally play his clarinet alone without SpongeBob and Patrick interrupting him. But after some time, freaking out because he's all alone forever and these weird texts keep showing up, Squidward freaks out and he understands that he needs to get home to his timeline as fast as possible. But the problem is he cannot find home. He is completely lost in this weird universe. And Squidward is so stressed that he jumps through the floor and lands into the time machine again. And then he wishes, "I just want to get home." And somehow the time machine hears him, because next he gets teleported into his own universe. right outside Patrick and Spongebob, and they have been standing there the whole time. And he gets out and he's actually for the first time happy to see Spongebob and Patrick. Then he asks them what they want to do, and they of course say jellyfishing. And then Squidward asks him who invented that stupid thing anyways, and they answer, you did. So it turns out all this time Squidward invented jellyfishing, which is just so crazy to me. And it's also really cool to see how the Bikini Bottom looked out in the future. This episode is so crazy and good, but also pretty scary. This is personally one of my favorite episodes. Now jumping into the next episode, which is none other than PL 1413. This episode has clearly taken some inspiration from SP129. The episode starts with there being a discussion 10 minutes. This isn't how I remember the mayor of the Bikini Bottom. Isn't the mayor of the Bikini Bottom this guy? After that, it's Sandy's turn to present a new time capsule at the Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob puts his laughter, and Squidward puts his clarinet, and Mr. Krabs puts his Krabby Patty to the now called chrome buckets. I guess after all this year they got tired of serving this mush. Plankton knocks on the door, a magic chrome ball appears. This chrome ball is actually an upgraded version of his robot. The chrome ball proceeds to pick up Plankton and flying him around the Bikini Bottom, or now the chrome Bikini Bottom, to see what exists at this time. When they get to Patrick's stone, it actually shows that it's alive and sucks up them. Then he proceeds to spit Plankton out. Then he orders a chrome ball to take into SpongeBob, and SpongeBob actually all decked out in futuristic gear. This of course making Plankton very surprised. I mean, I would also be kinda surprised if my best friend or some friend I knew was all decked out in futuristic gear in the future, like what? But no, that SpongeBob was just a hologram. The real SpongeBob is actually an ice cube. What? How is... Then Plankton freaks out, just like Squidward did. I think that's a common thing when you travel millions or thousands of years in the future. When they arrive to a Krusty Krab, they can see that it's permanently closed due to rust, which is just such a weird thought, because where is Mr. Krab? Isn't he like a chrome dude? I don't know. But Plankton's actually happy over this, because now the chrome bucket, as it's called now, can conquer. They decides to go to check out Sandy's house. And when he opens the door, he can actually see that Sandy's now. He begs Sandy to ship him back to his year. And of course she does, because she's kind. So with the help of a big red button, she teleports the whole crib to old Bikini Bottom. Okay, so I think it's really cool that they made another follow-up episode on the weird chromic episode, SP129. I really think this episode is really cool, and it has much more as a story than SP129. But I really like the vibe in SP129. Maybe it's just the old SpongeBob vibe, but I really like the vibe more in SP129. But please let me know what you guys think of these episodes. Thanks for watching me talk about SpongeBob in the future, future SpongeBob, future SpongeBob.